Antioch came with President Steve Jones, Vice President for Academic Affairs Melinda Treadwell, and they wanted to also Center for Academic Innovation Director Abigail Abrash Walton, and they wanted to talk about a resiliency and a collaboration with the city of Keene relative to a commitment in principle to establish a multi-year public-private partnership to advance community resiliency. The objective is to determine the benefits, the priorities, and scope of collaboration between Antioch's Center for Climate Preparedness and Community Resilience and the city of Keene. As you know, President Jones is relatively new in office, but he's very, very impressed with the work that the college or the university has had with the city of Keene, our entwined in, our interaction, our cooperative efforts, and the fact that the city has had a leadership role and recognized for having such a leadership role, as well as many members of the city council, past mayors and city council members, members of the community, and yourself, Your Honor, and individuals here this evening. So the proposed approach would be for Antioch University in New England and the city of Keene to establish a public-private partnership that deploys a multidisciplinary, multi-stakeholder approach to strengthening community resilience. Building on the things that we've already done and anticipating these priorities may include civic leadership and public service engagement, community gardens, district heating and weatherization, downtown stormwater management and community preparedness, economic development, greenhouse gas inventory updates, Keene Energy and Agricultural Project, affectionately known as KEEP, transportation management, bike path expansion, urban tree planting initiatives, etc. With this kind of collaboration would come a memorandum of understanding that is not binding, but would show the goodwill of the city. I know that Antioch University New England anticipates talking about that later this month when they have their significant annual meeting and the Horseman meeting where they talk about the award for that particular prestigious event. So in anticipation of that, we wanted the city council to be aware of the possibility of a memorandum of understanding, which is non-binding but does demonstrate good faith. And Your Honor, with that, I'd like to turn it over to you, yield the rest of my time for an item that you'd like to bring to the council.
Okay, thank you. On Monday evening, there was a forum held at the Keene High School regarding heroin usage in the community. The city manager was there, I was there. I had the opportunity to speak at the forum. It was well attended. There were approximately 150 to 200 people there, and it was a discussion about the nature of the problem as well as we heard from various groups that were working on different aspects of resolution to trying to figure out how do we manage the crisis that we are facing right now. I very much, I found it very productive and very useful, and I just wanted to highlight to the council the comments that I made, because this is a matter that has been brought forward. Council Clark and Council Filio brought this forward to the City Council, and is currently pending before the Municipal Services Facilities and Infrastructure Committee. So I did want to take the opportunity to point out that as you know, this forum dealt with both prevention, treatment, and enforcement issues relating to the use of heroin, and it was clear that it was going to take a collective input from a variety of groups in order to effectively deal with this issue. And so I've offered through the mayor's office to act as a coordinating committee, to establish a coordinating committee for a variety of the groups, and I've begun discussions already with several groups who are actively involved and are professionals in dealing with the heroin crisis, to bring them together to try to coordinate their efforts and to determine if there are areas that in fact are not being dealt with that should more effectively be dealt with in connection with heroin, and determine what steps should be taken in the future to try to eliminate this was an important forum, it was a valuable forum, and I appreciated very much those that put it on. And, I look forward to further discussions both with the city council and with a variety of groups that are involved in the heroin epidemic that we are facing as we go forward from here. Okay. Next we have resolutions.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to the Winchester Street Bridge water main repairs and Resolution R-2014-24. On a vote of 4-0, Finance Organization and Personnel Committee accepted the report on the Winchester Street Bridge water main repairs as informational. And on a vote of 4-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee then recommended the adoption of Resolution R-2014-24, which we have. Resolution R-2014-24, resolution relating to the appropriation for the Winchester Street Bridge water main. Mr. Greenwald.
And we will file the memorandum. Council Greenwald for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move for the adoption of Resolution R 2014-24. Second.
It is moved and seconded. Council Greenwald.
Thank you, Your Honor. What this resolution will accomplish is it approves the funding of $94,500 for the repair of the Winchester Street Bridge water main. This water main was placed into service in 1965 when the bridge was constructed. For reasons not really clear, in March of 2014, it froze and cracked. It's an uninsulated pipe, and it can cause some serious issues. It's important that we have a loop all around the city, and without that piece of the pipe, obviously, the loop is not there. So it needs to be replaced. Bids were received. This was put out for open bid, competitive bid, and the winning bid, low bidder was Renault Brothers, Vernon, Vermont. And again, the amount of the appropriation on the resolution is $94,500.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? This requires a roll call. The clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Roberts.
Yes.
Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Duffy.
Yes.
Mr. Redfern. Yes. Mr. Jacobs.
Yes.
Mr. Manwaring. Yes. Mr. O'Connor.
Yes.
Mr. Filio.
Yes.
Mr. Hague. Yes. Mr. Powers.
Yes.
Mr. Chadmore.
Yes.
Mr. Meter.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Richard.
Yes.
And Mr. Greenwald.
And it is unanimously adopted. 6B, further resolution.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report on Resolution R-2425. On a vote of 4-0, Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the adoption of Resolution R-2014-25. And we have Resolution R-2014-25, a resolution relating to Citizens United versus the Federal Elections Commission, introduced by Councilor Greenwald.
Council Greenwald.
Thank you, Your Honor.
File memorandum, and Council Greenwald for motion.
Your Honor, I move to carry out adoption of Resolution R 2014-25. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Council Greenwald.
Thank you, Your Honor. I will not read the entire resolution. I did that at committee, and hopefully the public heard it. This issue of Citizens United versus the Federal Elections Commission has been discussed and explained pretty extensively at the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee, and also voted by the council that the city attorney create this resolution. City attorney and mayor worked on this, and I must say I think it's a very, very all-encompassing, very, very clear discussion of the issue, which really places it as a constitutional discussion, absolutely not a partisan. One of the things that's great about the city council, we're not Democrats, we're Republicans. We're just working for the public. It's not a partisan discussion whatsoever. In my mind, I think it really states everything very clearly. There was an individual, one of the folks, Gerhard Benning, that brought this to our attention, that requested that we consider an additional paragraph. I did some reading, thinking, and part of the discussion the Finance Organization personnel was that if it was appropriate, and after discussion with the city attorney, that perhaps an amendment could be made to this. Again, I gave some thought to this, and the whole previous discussion was dealing with corporations, it was dealing with the Constitution and that sort of issue. This final issue that Mr. Benning brought forth came out of the city of Gainesville, Florida. Again, I'm not introducing this as an amendment, I'm explaining what I'm doing. Gets into off that issue. It's dealing with that money is not speech, and therefore regulating political contributions and spending is not equivalent to limiting political speech. I think it's taking it off topic. So, with individuals are what we're hopefully protecting their interests and their ability to function in the government. Individuals should be allowed to contribute more, contribute less, hold up signs, or advertise, or however they want. So if we added this as an amendment, it would take it off the whole issue of the corporations and start getting into how you or I want to support our candidates. So again, that's why I'm not going to propose that amendment. If someone else wants to, then we can have that discussion. Perhaps the city attorney might have other explanation of that, or not.
I think that was very well done.
Okay, so again, Finance Organization and Personnel Committee did recommend adoption of the resolution as presented.
Council Roberts.
I think this is a pretty important resolution. I get, because of all my public offices, I get a lot of chatter and a lot of emails and other information. And what I'm hearing over and over again is forget about the Senate, or the House, or the presidency. They're saying is the way we can get more control and more power and get what we want is we need to start getting people on the school board, the city council, and at the state house. So while we're all picking up here, we need to realize that the danger is if some corporation wanted to change or get something in the city, to go and say, I'm going to support certain candidates and I'm going to get unlimited money. So then if, for example, do that for the mayor, and the mayor would then appoint people to the different committees and boards that would then have a negative effect on the whole city of Keene and other cities. So this, the way it is right now, we're in the intent of numerous corporations is to control at the lower level, and we can't have that because that then destroys democracy right at the grassroots.
Council Roberts, you are absolutely correct. That is in truth the danger and the difficulty with the Supreme Court decision. That is quite frankly the reason that I've argued before the committee that in fact it is a matter that we need to be concerned about. That there are other issues that come up that are national issues that I try to avoid us getting sucked into. But this particular issue is one that I think is a matter of direct concern to us at the local level, and we need to be prepared to speak out in connection with this. Are there any further discussion? Council Clark.
Thank you, Ron. I agree with this resolution. It is very, very important. However, I think that Mr. Gearhart's extra paragraph is really the meat of the issue. I don't think it takes it off target at all. I think what it says is that only human beings, not corporations, people. It says very plainly, very clearly, that's what it means. If you're a corporation, you have no business picking our representatives. You have to be a person. You can be a person who owns your company, that's fine. But I would move to amend and place this paragraph, and I guess I'll leave it. Now therefore be it resolved that the city of Keene, New Hampshire supports an amendment to the Constitution to establish that only human beings, not corporations, are endowed with constitutional rights, and that money is not speech, and therefore regulating political contributions and spending is not equivalent to limiting political speech.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion. Council Clark, we haven't heard from you yet. Okay, Council Lane. My apologies.
On the amendment, yeah, I couldn't support it more. If you read the founding documents of this nation, they say we the people, all men are created equal. It's in your inalienable rights for the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. At no point does it say that a corporation, which is a legal designation, a corporation for all intents and purposes is a document that allows a business to function. And right now, the law, the way it is, that document is equal to the people. And that's a law, it's true, that's it. The Supreme Court said so. That has to be overturned. It is just anathema to every founding document that we have, and I wholeheartedly support the amendment.
Council Dudley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I will support the amendment as well. For reasons Councilor Richards just stated and before him Councilor Clark. I would like to address briefly Councilor Greenwald's express rationale in introducing the resolution that it's off topic, what Mr. Gerhard suggested. I'm just looking at the resolution itself, and when you look at the language, the proposed resolution concerns that unlimited economic resources creates a new class of non-natural citizens not otherwise contemplated under the founding principles of the United States of America. That's completely what consistent with Mr. Betting is expressing or asking for us to do. Number 3 in the back. Now that, and therefore, the decision of the Citizens United versus Federal Elections Commission has the potential to fundamentally alter and impede the rights of natural persons to effectively participate in the democratic process. I feel this language is completely consistent with what we see, and I wholeheartedly will support its addition. As an amendment.
Further discussion? Council Greenwald.
Maybe I didn't really make it all that clear. As I said. I do not disagree with what's in the main guts of this resolution. I just see that this is drifting into a little bit different regulation than if this guy has a little more money and wants to support that guy's election, are we going to tell him he cannot do that? Because that's where I see that this is drifting. This is regulating individuals, not the corporations. I want to keep the corporations at bay, but I don't want to limit an individual's ability to participate in the election process. And I think that that's how I interpret this last sentence.
Council Clark, could you restate the motion again for us? We're trying to figure out where within the original resolution this fits.
Okay. Now therefore be resolved that the City of Keene, New Hampshire supports an amendment to the Constitution to establish that only human beings, not corporations, are endowed with constitutional rights, and that money is not speech, and therefore regulating political contributions and spending is not equivalent to limiting political speech.
And would you like that added as a number 6 to the resolution?
This paragraph would be number 6 as an amendment. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
If I may,
Yes.
I would suggest that we substitute, if we're going to add that amendment, that we substitute it as number 5 and make number 5 number 6, because number 6 really is the concluding paragraph that requires that we request a constitutional amendment.
I'm amenable to that. Seconded.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Hague.
Thank you, if I may. I agree with previous comments that this is extremely important, and I fully support the intent of this resolution. 2 clarifying questions. 1, if we add this additional paragraph as a number 5, are we then proposing 2 constitutional amendments or 1 amendment with 2 purposes? As paragraph 6, as it is now, does propose an amendment to overturn the decision.
Council Clark.
I will defer.
If I may suggest, I don't presume to act on behalf of the United States government with respect to how this would get run through their process, but I think I can say that the underlying issue in Citizens United did include in it some implication the issue of money being equated to speech. But having said that, the Citizens United decision was actually a precursor to another decision that the United States Supreme Court came down with that started to allow unlimited personal resources to be used as speech in certain contexts. So that second decision really does depend upon the Citizens United decision. So if there were a constitutional amendment with respect to the Citizens United decision, I would suspect that that would include the issues with respect to money being speech in general under the First Amendment. But I certainly can't swear to that.
Thank you. If I may, one follow-up?
Yes.
General question, how will this be shared with our representatives?
We would send it, well, I defer to the mayor for that, but.
We will send it to the governor, to the congressional delegation, to our two senators, and urge them to support a constitutional amendment to achieve this.
Thank you.
Councilor Roberts.
I'm not gonna support it because when I look at it, I think it should be, we're saying two separate things in the same paragraph. One, we're saying corporations are not people. And so if it went like that, I would have no problem with it. But then we get into the point of speech and money and stuff, and like Council Greenwald has stated, to me, having a corporation as an individual is totally different than a regular individual want to spend his or her money the way he or she chooses. And so, to me, that should have been separate. Those two things should not have been in the same paragraph.
Quite frankly, the issue of money in campaigns has resulted in a long line of Supreme Court decisions that have been going on now for a number of years. So that as soon as we start dealing with money in campaigns, we are treading into an area that is both complex and it's certainly beyond my understanding, and I think it's beyond probably what most of us on the City Council really want to get into. But the Citizens United case is something that is direct and immediate and understandable and has implications that are damaging to democracy. Councilor Duffy.
Thank you, Your Honor. I understand Councilor and thank you for your comments. I understand Councilor Roberts' concerns. Again, I just want to reiterate the last sentence. Regulating political contributions and spending is not equivalent to limiting political speech. That's the rationale behind this amendment. I think that's the core. And again, I support it. Most functioning democracies on this planet have election cycles that last a month or two. They're funded publicly, most of them. This is a real threat to our democracy, and addressing it with this language that's included in the amendment, I think, is again wholly appropriate, and I would say it's necessary. And if you look historically, when courts, governments, institutions change and adapt to the will of the people, they're catching up to the will of the people. And if we don't make our desires, our wills known, it's not going to happen at all.
Councilor Richards.
I agree with Councilor Duffy. For years it was campaign regulation, and then we just talking locally, nationally, and it's been a debate with council since I've been on council. Some people think we should just stay local. Some people think we should send a message. I'm one of the people who thinks that we should send a message, and this is where it starts. For years, campaigns were regulated, and to Councilor Duffy's points, I mean, we have 2-year presidential elections. I mean, the money that's being supportive of this is really destroying democracy on every level. And I think locally we need to say enough's enough. You know, we need to say that, you know, Congress for years made rules about how much money you could give to campaigns, and that worked fine. The campaign schedules were tighter. People would hear ideas rather than blathering ads on the TV for a year or 2 years before the election happened. Our entire process is being subverted by money. And we need to say that people are what matter, not corporations. And even people who want to give or vote or work, even there should be some regulation. So that this class of billionaires that we've created in the last 10 years cannot strong arm and manipulate all of our elections. So again, I will support this wholeheartedly. I think this needs to start at the grass level and go all the way to the top.
Okay. Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Your Honor. Although I support the language of the amendment, and I think we need it, I think by adding it to this document kind of waters down the language, the message we're trying to get across. I would rather see this, the amended language come back to us as another resolution, instead of adding it to this one. So I won't be voting for the amendment, but I do support the concept, yeah.
Further discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand. All those opposed?
Oh, I can see them.
They count too.
All right.
Okay, the amendment is adopted, 9 in favor, 6 opposed. So we're now back to the resolution, R 2014-25 as amended.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Given the councilor's comment with respect to whether or not paragraph 5 is clear enough, if the council were willing, I would unfortunately propose one more amendment, and that would add to the last paragraph, or what is now paragraph 6, a comma after then, and have it state, and to not equate money with speech, so that we would be requesting a constitutional amendment to consider both, given the passage of the First Amendment. People will
So moved.
I can't.
It's been moved to seconded.
Where exactly in that paragraph?
It would be at the end of what is now amended as paragraph number 6.
At the very end?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, is there any discussion about the further amendment? Councilor Jones?
I just want to ask a question. If we're changing